Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today. This is the Bodega Cat Book Club Spiritual Edition. And today we're continuing our reading of the Kybalion, Hermetic Philosophy by the Three Initiates. So the book we're using is the Centenary Edition. And it's got a nice little cover there. Okay, I'm just going to move my camera a little bit and adjust it. So please bear with me just a tad. Now, this particular book was inspired by a video I saw with Dr. Bruce Lipton. And if you don't know who he is, I encourage you to check him out on YouTube or on Amazon. He's written tons and tons of books about spirituality, consciousness. He is a scientist by training. I don't remember which one. I think it's biology. Don't quote me on that. But anyways, I'll leave the link of that video in the description box below for you guys to check it out. And I will also leave a link of a podcaster decoding Dr. Bruce Lipton's video on Hermetic philosophy. So that one, the second video, it's a little long, but it's certainly worth it. It's got a lot of great insights about Hermeticism and uh, uh, you know, teachings like that. Anyways, so that's where this inspiration comes from. And I hope you're enjoying this book. Before we begin, thank you for being here. I hope you like what we do here. If you do, please do check out our other book clubs. We have our health book clubs on Wednesdays and then financial book clubs on Thursdays, where we read, Wednesdays we read books about health, and then Thursdays we read books about finances. And then we put all our books that we've read in the past, as well as the present ones, on YouTube. And we have it on a playlist so that you guys can just download it and listen to it when you're jogging, walking your dog, when you're stuck in traffic, whatever. And we have other things on our YouTube channel as well, not just the book clubs. So please do check it out. If you have a book that you would like to recommend for us to read, I will leave a link in the description box below as well. And we'd love to hear from you. It could be a spiritual book, it could be a health book, it could be a financial book. We would love to consider it. Also consider signing up for our free monthly newsletter as well. And if you want to support us further, you can buy me a coffee, leave a donation. Um, Check out our merch. We have many different merch and designs for your fur babies, for your kitties and doggies, as well as for humans. So please do check it out. And we're always constantly upgrading the designs, making it better, or coming up with new designs. So please do check them out on our website as well. I'll leave a link in the description box below for that. And then lastly, if you are in the Los Angeles area, or if you're traveling or visiting LA, come visit us in our healing center. We have a healing center that we use technologies based on Nikola Tesla's scalar wave research for holistic healings for both cats and dogs and humans. So please do check it out. Read all about that particular technology on our website, as well as our other services as well. And we would love to meet you and get to know you in person. But most importantly, we appreciate you, however you support us in whatever way, shape, or form. And most importantly, thank you for being here. Thank you for being on these book club journeys with us, for sharing these timeless classic books with that we're reading. And I hope you're truly enjoying it. And please do leave your comments. We love to hear from you. So this is the Kybalion, and this will be chapter 15. Now, usually each chapter has and starts with an axiom or a quote, but I think we're finished with the quotes. So anyways, if there is a quote that comes up, I'll read it 3 times for maximum effect. Okay, so I'm going to move the camera closer. If you have a book, you could follow with us there. If not, you can follow with us here on camera. And this is a nice little book. It's got a hardcover and it's black, which is a very classic color. And and it's a small book. It's not one of those regular big books or regular size books. Okay. All right, let's see here. Okay, here we go. Chapter 15, Hermetic Axioms. Now, again, if there are axioms or phrases that are in quotes, I will read those 3 times for maximum effect. So, okay, here we go. All right. Chapter 15, Hermetic Axioms. The possession of knowledge, unless accompanied by a manifestation and expression in action, is like the hoarding of precious metals, a vain and foolish thing. Knowledge, like wealth, is intended for use. The law of use is universal, and he who violates it suffers by reason of his conflict with natural forces. The Kybalion. Oh, okay. So there is a quote. It might start with knowledge. So let me read that again. I think that's pretty important. So you hear phrases like knowledge is power. Actually, it's applied knowledge because you could have all the knowledge in the world. If you don't use it, then it doesn't. If you don't take action, then it's not going to have a lot of effect. You have to use it. So let me read that sentence again. Knowledge, like wealth, is intended for use. The law of use is universal, and he who violates it suffers by reason of his conflict with natural forces. I'll read that again. Knowledge, like wealth, is intended for use. The law of use is universal, and he who violates it suffers by reason of his conflict with natural forces, the Kybalion. The Hermetic teachings, while always having been kept securely locked up in the minds of the fortunate possessors thereof, for reasons which we have already stated, were never intended to be merely stored away and secreted. The law of use is dwelt upon in the teachings, as you may see by reference to the above quotation from the Kybalion, which states it forcibly. Knowledge without use and expression is a vain thing, bringing no good to its possessor or to the race. Beware of mental miserliness and express into action that which you have learned. Study the axioms and aphorisms, but practice them also. We give below some of the more important Hermetic axioms from the Kybalion, with a few comments added to each. Make these your own and practice and use them, for they are not really your own until you have used them. So here's one axiom, and I'll read that 3 times. To change your mood or mental state, change your vibration, the Kybalion. To change your mood or mental state, change your vibration, the Kybalion. Again, to change your mood or mental state, change your vibration, the Kybalion. One may change his mental vibrations by an effort of will in the direction of deliberately fixing the attention upon a more desirable state. Will directs the attention, and attention changes the vibration. Cultivate the art of attention by means of the will, and you have solved the secret of the mastery of moods and mental states. Here's another axiom or quote from the Kybalion. To destroy an undesirable rate of mental vibration, put into operation the principle of polarity and concentrate upon the opposite pole to that which you desire to suppress. Kill out the undesirable by changing its polarity, the Kybalion. Again, to destroy an undesirable rate of mental vibration, put into operation the principle of polarity and concentrate upon the opposite pole to that which you desire to suppress. Kill out the undesirable by changing its polarity, the Kybalion. Third time, to destroy an undesirable rate of mental vibration, put into operation the principle of polarity and concentrate upon the opposite pole to that which you desire to suppress. Kill out the undesirable by changing its polarity, the Kybalion. This is one of the most important of the Hermetic formulas. It is based upon true scientific principles. We have shown you that a mental state and its opposite were merely the two poles of one thing, and that by mental transmutation, the polarity might be reversed. This principle is known to modern psychologists who apply it to the breaking up of undesirable habits by bidding their students concentrate upon the opposite quality. If you are possessed of fear, do not waste time trying to kill out fear, but instead cultivate the quality of courage, and the fear will disappear. Some writers have expressed this idea most forcibly by using the illustration of the dark room. You do not have to shovel out or sweep out the darkness, but by merely opening the shutters and letting in the light, the darkness has disappeared. To kill out a negative quality, concentrate upon the positive pole of that same quality, and the vibrations will gradually change from negative to positive until finally you will become polarized on the positive pole instead of the negative. The reverse is also true, as many have found out to their sorrow when they have allowed themselves to vibrate too constantly on the negative pole of things. By changing your polarity, you may master your moods, change your mental states, remake your disposition, and build up character. Much of the mental mastery of the advanced Hermetics is due to this application of polarity, which is one of the important aspects of mental transmutation. Remember the Hermetic axiom quoted previously, which says, quote, mind, as well as metals and elements, may be transmuted from state to state, degree to degree, condition to condition, pole to pole, vibration to vibration, the Kybalion. I'll read that again since it's an axiom. Mind, as well as metals and elements, may be transmuted from state to state, degree to degree, condition to condition, pole to pole, vibration to vibration, the Kybalion. One more time. Mind, as well as metals and elements, may be transmuted from state to state, degree to degree, condition to condition, pole to pole, vibration to vibration, the Kybalion. The mastery of polarization is the mastery of the fundamental principles of mental transmutation or mental alchemy. For unless one acquires the art of changing his own polarity, he will be unable to affect his environment. An understanding of this principle will enable one to change his own polarity as well as that of others if he will but devote the time, care, study, and practice necessary to master the art. The principle is true, but the result obtained depends upon the persistent patience and practice of the student. And here is another quote or another axiom by the Kybalion. Quote, rhythm may be neutralized by an application of the art of polarization. The Kybalion. Again, rhythm may be neutralized by an application of the art of polarization, the Kybalion. One more time. Rhythm may be neutralized by an application of the art of polarization, the Kybalion. As we have explained in previous chapters, the Hermetists hold that the principle of rhythm manifests on the mental plane as well as on the physical plane, and that the bewildering succession of moods, feelings, emotions, and other mental states are due to the backward and forward swing of the mental pendulum, which carries us from one extreme of feeling to the other. The Hermetists also teach that the law of neutralization enables one, to a great extent, to overcome the operation of rhythm in consciousness, As we have explained, there is a higher plane of consciousness, as well as the ordinary lower plane, and the master, by rising mentally to the higher plane, causes the swing of the mental pendulum to manifest on the lower plane. And he, dwelling on his higher plane, escapes the consciousness of the swing backward. This is affected by polarizing on the higher self, and thus raising the mental vibrations of the ego above those of the ordinary plane of consciousness. It is akin to rising above a thing and allowing it to pass beneath you. The advanced hermetist polarizes himself at the positive pole of his being, the I am pole, rather than the pole of personality, and by refusing and denying the operation of rhythm, raises himself above its plane of consciousness, and standing firm in his statement of being, he allows the pendulum to swing back on the lower plane without changing his polarity. This is accomplished by all individuals who have attained any degree of self-mastery, whether they understand the law or not. Such persons simply refuse to allow themselves to be swung back by the pendulum of mood and emotion, and by steadfastly affirming the superiority, they remain polarized on the positive pole. The master, of course, attains a far greater degree of proficiency because he understands the law which he is overcoming by a higher law, and by the use of his will, he attains a degree of poise and mental steadfastness with almost impossible of belief on the part of those who allow themselves to be swung backward and forward by the mental pendulum of moods and feelings. Remember always, however, that you do not really destroy the principle of rhythm, for that is indestructible. You simply overcome one law by counterbalancing it with another, and thus maintain an equilibrium. The laws of balance and counterbalance are in operation on the mental as well as on the physical planes, and an understanding of these laws enables one to seem to overthrow laws, whereas he is merely exerting a counterbalance. Here's another axiom, quote, nothing escapes the principle of cause and effect, but there are many planes of causation, and one may use the laws of the higher to overcome the laws of the lower, the Kybalion. Again, nothing escapes the principle of cause and effect, but there are many planes of causation, and one may use the laws of the higher to overcome the laws of the lower, the Kybalion. One more time. Nothing escapes the principle of cause and effect, but there are many planes of causation, and one may use the laws of the higher to overcome the laws of the lower, the Kybalion. By an understanding of the practice of polarization, the Hermetists rise to a higher plane of causation, and thus counterbalance the laws of the lower planes of causation. By rising above the plane of ordinary causes, they become themselves, in a degree, causes instead of merely being caused. By being able to master their own moods and feelings, and by being able to neutralize rhythm, as we have already explained, they're able to escape a great part of the operations of cause and effect on the ordinary plane. The masses of people are carried along, obedient to their environment, the wills and desires of others stronger than themselves, the effects of inherited tendencies, the suggestions of those about them, and other outward causes which tend to move them about on the chessboard of life like mere pawns. By rising above these influencing causes, the advanced Hermetists seek a higher plane of mental action, and by dominating their moods, emotions, impulses, and feelings, they create for themselves new characters, qualities, and powers by which they overcome their ordinary environment and thus become practically players instead of mere pawns. Such people help to play the game of life understandingly instead of being moved about this way and that way by stronger influences and powers and wills. They use the principle of cause and effect instead of being used by it. Of course, even the highest are subject to the principle as it manifests on the higher planes. But on the lower planes of activity, they are masters instead of slaves. As the Kybalion says, quote, the wise ones serve on the higher, but rule on the lower. They obey the laws coming from above them, but on their own plane and those below them, they rule and give and give orders. And yet in doing so, or in so doing, they form a part of the principle instead of opposing it. The wise man falls in with the law, and by understanding its movements, he operates it instead of being its blind slave. Just as does the skilled swimmer turn this way and that way, going and coming as he will, instead of being as the log, which is carried here and there, so is the wise man as compared to the ordinary man, and yet both swimmer and log, wise man and fool, are subject to law. He who understands this is well on the road to mastery. The Kybalion. So this is a little longer axioms, but I'm going to read it again 2 more times. Okay. The wise ones serve on the higher, but rule on the lower. They obey the laws coming from above them, but on their own plane and those below them, they rule and give orders. And yet in so doing, they form a part of the principle. Instead of opposing it, the wise man falls in with the law, and by understanding its movement, he operates it instead of being its blind slave. Just as does the skilled swimmer turn this way and that way, going and coming as he will, instead of being as the log which is carried here and there, so is the wise man as compared to the ordinary man. And yet both swimmer and log, wise man and fool, are subject to law. He who understands this is well on the road to mastery, the Kybalion. Okay, one more time. The wise man serves on the higher, but rule on the lower. They obey the laws coming from above them, but on their own plane and those below them, they rule and give orders. And yet in so doing, they form a part of the principle. Instead of opposing it, the wise man falls in with the law, and by understanding its movements, he operates it instead of being its blind slave. Just as does the skilled swimmer turn this way and that way, going and coming as he will. Instead of being as the log which is carried here and there, so is the wise man as compared to the ordinary man. And yet both swimmer and log, wise man and fool, are subject to law. He who understands this is well on the road to mastery, the Kybalion. In conclusion, let us again call your attention to the Hermetic axiom. True Hermetic transmutation is a mental art, the Kybalion. Again, true Hermetic transmutation is a mental art, the Kybalion. True Hermetic transmutation is a mental art, the Kybalion. It sounds like the Jedi mind, what do you call that? Jedi mind trick, or however they call it in Star Wars. Anyways, in the above axiom, the Hermetists teach that the great work of influencing one's environment is accomplished by mental power. The universe being wholly mental, it follows that it may be ruled only by mentality. And in this truth is to be found an explanation of all the phenomena and manifestations of the various mental powers which are attracting so much attention and study in these earlier years of the 20th century. Back of and under the teachings of the various cults and schools remains ever constant the principle of the mental substance of the universe. If the universe be mental in its substantial nature, then it follows that mental transmutation must change the conditions and phenomena of the universe. If the universe is mental, then mind must be the highest power affecting its phenomena. If this be understood, then all the so-called miracles and wonder workings are seen plainly for what they are. The all is mind. The universe is mental. The Kybalion. The all is mind. The universe is mental. The Kybalion. One more time. The all is mind. The universe is mental. The Kybalion. Finis. End of chapter 15. And this is end of the book. Let's see what else we got there. Oh, we got something about the author. Well, interesting. Let's read this. About the author, the identity of three initiates has been the subject of much secrecy and rumor since the Kybalion first appeared in 1908. Three Initiates is most likely one of the many pseudonyms used by William Walker Atkinson, a popular New Thought writer and publisher in the early 20th century. Born in Baltimore, Maryland in 1862, Atkinson became a successful attorney in 1894. Following a series of illnesses, he immersed himself in New Thought literature. He soon became an important and influential figure within the early days of the movement, publishing magazines such as Suggestion, New Thought, and Advanced Thought, as well as contributing to Elizabethtown's The Nautilus. Under the aegis of his own publishing company, Yogi Publication Society, Atkinson authored The Secret of Success, as well as many titles written under pseudonyms, including Yogi Ramachakara, Magus Incognito, and Theron Q. Dumont. The Kybalion is the most popular and enduring work published by Atkinson's Yogi Publication Society. An honorary president of the International New Thought Alliance, Atkinson died in California in 1932. Wow, very interesting. And that's the end of the book. And I want to thank you for joining us on this journey. This is a very dense book for a very small book. So it's good to kind of go over it chapter by chapter and really digest it a little bit at a time. You could take take this whole book and use your whole lifetime to learn some of the principles. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed that. Leave us your comments. What do you think about the book? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you understand it or not? Do you have a favorite axiom or a least favorite? Tell us your thoughts and some of your journeys. Have you put any of these into action? Do you agree, disagree with some of the you know, axioms that are in this book? We'd love to hear from you and start a conversation. But anyways, we will be starting a new book, and if you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, we'll be sending out an intro to that book pretty soon. I haven't quite decided yet which book I wanted to do. I kind of have an idea. I'm still waiting for inspiration from Spirit to see what it wants me to do here. But anyways, I hope you guys all have a great day, evening or afternoon or wherever you guys are. And we'll see you next time in our next book club. Okay, bye-bye now.